Well, our session here is comprised of really two, almost three subsets. One is going through a plan review with a site that I'm intimately familiar with and the process in which they use, and to share those behaviors, traits, processes with everyone, and everyone can use what they can best use and implement into their sites. And the other one is about leadership. Leadership from the perspective of a church and right persona. And equally important, it's one that I'm very intimately aware and familiar with because it's one that was presented to me again back in 2001. One that I've been using myself, maybe plagiarizing in some instances, but at the end of the day, it's one that really holds true to beliefs, the way that we interact, the way that we correspond, and the way that we drive and hold people accountable. Bless you. So next 3.5 to 4.5 hours, it's an interactive session, so we'll be called on, we'll be discussing, we'll be debating, and equally important, we'll be making ourselves that much better leaders than we were when we started this process. So start.
Yeah, just as a backdrop, I mean, this is stuff that you've heard before, at least I hope you have. If not, you're not here now. It is a compilation of some of my own work, but also an experience, but also from others. And as much as I knew who those were, I give them credit. For those that I don't, I figure it's part of the, it is out in the public domain, so hey. And the intent is not to tell you what to do. Okay, you get that from the public schools. They're set up to tell people how to think. I mean, what to think, and not how to think. And the intent here is to get into the how to think. What are those underlying causes and factors that drive certain understandings, certain requirements, and they are basic and they are universal things that govern us. So the intent is, at the end of the day, that if you find something that makes sense, that you will automatically use it. So the onus is on me to make sure that I'm articulating, the rational understanding behind the things that one thinks, or how he thinks, and what to consider, and what to do, and that sort of thing. And we'll take it from there. I don't know about you, but sometimes I find myself getting nostalgic about some things that never happened. But that happens closer with the retirement than prior to that. So you'll see what I mean as the years go by. So the first thing I want to tell you is tell you thank you for having me here as your guest. Sometimes I feel like I never left, but the fact is I did. Sometimes I wonder whether the world is being run by smart people who are actually putting us on, or by imbeciles who really mean it. Okay? That was Mark Twain. And one can easily apply this action at the workplace. How many times did you hear people say, well, do these people know what the hell they're doing, referring to the management group? And it is not unlike that kind of... So it is extremely important to have a clear understanding of what works, what does not work, and how we discharge our duties. But sometimes we just jump in there in the heat of the battle, just taking care of the things that go wrong, and we're a little bit vague about what is it that works, and how do we attend to it. Okay, so the intent here is to get to those kind of factors. And I have this. You don't have the printout, but Chris does have a copy of this, you can provide it. This Geoffrey James, he says the best managers have a fundamentally different understanding of the workplace, company, and team dynamics. He interviewed a whole bunch of successful CEOs, and he pulled together those things that he found in them to be key factors. Okay, and I'm not going to read through everything, but I will give you the first liner. That the business is an ecosystem, not a battlefield. Okay, the average bosses see business as a conflict between companies, departments, groups. They build huge armies of troops in order to attend to that. They demonize the competitors. And I think if you think back, you can see some of that even in our own company. And extraordinary bosses, they see business as a symbiosis, where most diverse firm is most likely to survive and thrive. They naturally create teams and adapt easily to new markets. And this is where they retain flexibility, where they engage people, and it is not a one-way directive kind of thing. The company is a community, not a machine. Under the average boss, they consider the company to be a machine with employees as cogs to take care of certain things. They create a rigid structure, rigid rules. You know, when I talk about a lot of times about wiggle room, that is a necessary thing in an organization and in people to be able to have that wiggle room, the discretionary thinking. And sometimes we take it away, and as a result, we end up with an organization that cannot act, and so, or they are predetermined, and if something different comes along, they can't handle it. Extraordinary bosses see their company as a collection of individual hopes and dreams, all connected to a higher purpose. They inspire employees. They dedicate themselves to the success of their peers and therefore the community. Management is a service, it is not control. Okay, I'll skip the average of bosses and I get to the extraordinary. They set general directions. They commit themselves to obtaining the resources that their employees need to get the job done. They push decision-making downward, allowing the team from their own roles, form their own rules, and intervening only in emergencies. You know, as I go through this, think back and say, hey, how does my model, the way that I operate, fit into this? It doesn't make sense. But, you know, I could be all for credit. So, but this is not me. These are people that actually have proven themselves over the years. My employees are my peers, not my children. Extraordinary bosses treat every employee as if he or she were the most important person in the firm. Excellence is expected everywhere, from the loading docks to the boardroom. As a result, employees at all levels take charge of their own destiny. Motivation comes from a vision, not from fear. Extraordinary bosses, they inspire people to see their future in a better light, and how they will be part of it. As a result, employees will work harder because they believe in the organizational goals, truly enjoy what they're doing, and know that they will share in the rewards. Again, change equals growth, not pain. Okay. See, an extraordinary boss sees change as an inevitable part of life. While they do not value changes for its own sake, they know that success is only possible if employees and the organization embraces the new ideas and new way of doing business. And this is something that Church and Dwight actually is pretty good at, and we preach pretty consistently. Technology offers empowerment, not automation. A lot of times you see technology as a form of control, keeping people from straying, forcing them into certain channels and what have you. Extraordinary bosses see technology as a way to free human beings to be creative, and to build better relationships. They adapt their back office systems to the tools, like the smartphones and tablets and what have you, that people actually want to use. Work should be fun, not mere toil, and that speaks for itself. So